Hello and welcome back to the Lore Raider. Well, you folks voted for it, so we'll be revisiting the 3-part Dungeons & Dragons alignment video by looking at Jeanne, the rival turned right-hand Umbra Witch to the titular Bayonetta. Jeanne is an interesting character as she sort of represents the last true Umbra Witch. Where Bayonetta was born of a forbidden union and raised as a social outcast, Jeanne was Umbran royalty and next in line for the throne. And it is said combatively she follows traditional Umbran fighting styles in the more free-form Bayonetta. Now for those wondering, I will be treating Jeanne from the Bayonetta trilogy as the same character. Controversial as it may be, I want to remind everyone that the idea we play as a different Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3 is a theory, something even likes of Raccoon X concedes to being a theory, and Kamiya nor anyone in the dev team, none of them have made a direct statement proving or even backing up this theory. In fact, they've said it's up to interpretation. Therefore, I share the same stance as the Bayonetta wiki. It is the same Jeanne until explicitly stated otherwise. Now, as for starting alignment, Jeanne grew up in the Crescent Valley as Umbran royalty. Despite being in some ways a traditionalist, she did ignore customs to befriend a young witch named Cereza, who is the product of the aforementioned Forbidden Union. By the time they're adults, Jeanne violates social customs again to challenge Cereza to a ritual duel for rulership. Now, going by in-universe rules, Umbra witches are sort of a necessary evil on the world, and despite being personable, Jeanne is still part of a demon-worshipping cult. Coupled with her willingness to skirt social customs on occasion, I'm gonna go true neutral, leaning towards lawful evil, due to her stated general adherence to Umbran tradition. Without further ado, let's jump in.
You may select opponents of your choice.
Then allow me to face the outcast.
Jeanne is on the cusp of ascending to leadership of the Umbra Witches and must pick an opponent to duel. Choosing the social outcast and her friend Cereza, who we know as Bayonetta, Jeanne and Bayonetta engage in an honorable duel, one that Jeanne ultimately loses. Defying customs in general is chaotic, but since she is dueling for the right of rulership, I'll split the difference and go with neutral good. The witch hunts begin and Jeanne and Bayonetta fight together. Upon reaching a room of dead witches, which includes Bayonetta's mother Rosa, the latter loses the will to fight. As such, Jeanne uses a special dagger to seal Cereza and her memories away, ensuring the eye of the world within Bayonetta is kept out of enemy hands. Saving your best friend and the very thing keeping things in balance is lawful good. Jeanne is captured by the Leanan sage Baldur, Bayonetta's father, and brainwashed into serving as his right-hand man for 500 years. Effectively, a hard reboot to Jeanne's personality. Despite working with Paradiso, she is too willing to kill her own supposed allies to achieve her ends. Since it seems Jeanne is as self-motivated as ever, we will shift her alignment at a hard lawful evil, leaning neutral evil. Jeanne, doing her best Bane impression, decides to
Drag this blade. With no survivors!
In order to bait a Bayonetta lacking any memories into a standoff. Jeanne then helps Bayonetta slaughter her own angel allies whilst taunting her about her missing memories, before fleeing at the end of the fight. Yes, technically working for Paradiso would be lawful evil, but killing your own teammates makes this neutral evil. Later in the city of Vigrid, Jeanne encounters Bayonetta again, and once again literally kills her allies, in this case running them over with her motorcycle, before taunting Bayonetta again and leaving without much of a fight, only encouraging Bayonetta further into Baldur's trap, neutral evil. Later, Jeanne confronts Bayonetta again, but not before stopping an Audito-class angel named Temperantia from interfering in her job, before she of course finally turns her attention to Bayonetta and a real fight begins amidst the crumbling ruins around them. Upon being defeated, Jeanne insinuates that she is going easy and that Bayonetta is, quote, not ready yet, before she intentionally flies off into a thunderstorm. For doing her job and not killing her allies for once, let's give Jeanne a lawful evil. Good job, Jeanne.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these might mean something to you. I've no need for worthless junk.
Jeanne manages to kidnap little Cereza, a past child version of Bayonetta, and confronts Bayonetta atop another airplane. Taunting Bayonetta about her care for the child, when Bayonetta confronts Jeanne about their shared past, Jeanne brushes it aside. Another Adito, named Sapientia, calls out Jeanne for stalling and for her to actually do her job, which she responds to that kindly request by literally stomping him off of the plane, which yet again causes it to crash. She then tries to goad Bayonetta to unleash her hatred and fights her again. This is a Nat 20 boss fight, guys. I mean, come on, man. It's Jeanne. She literally summons a motorcycle to fight you on a falling plane. Just great stuff. Oh, also, neutral evil for the friendly fire. Jeanne confronts Bayonetta as well as the journalist Luca and the child Cereza when they make it to Baldur's base of operations at Isla del Sol. In the process, Jeanne seemingly kills Luca and the child and straight away gets into a fight with Bayonetta. And even midway through the fight, unleashes her true form, finally taking the fight seriously. Once again, a Nat 20 boss fight. I mean, what is there not to love? Fighting on falling buildings, fighting on missiles. Speaking of which, throwing missiles everywhere and collapsing entire towers probably killed hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent people. It is clear that she's done pretending to care about the cause she was brainwashed to do, and is doing this for personal reasons, even attempting to murder a child to goad Bayonetta into unleashing her full power. 2 counts for chaotic evil, one for the attempted murder, and another one for wrecking the city in a fight. After her final defeat and her seeming final moments, Jeanne snaps out of her brainwashing and tells Bayonetta the truth about their being childhood friends, and encouraging her to go and end this madness, and also self-admitting her own faults, before pushing Bayonetta out of the way of 2 incoming missiles that seem to have killed her. Neutral good. With Bayonetta captured by Baldur to be used in a ritual to reawaken Jubileus the Creator, Jeanne drives her motorbike up along the side of a rocket into space in order to save her Umbran sister. Pulling Bayonetta out of the eye, they fight the reawakened god together, even coming together at the end to summon Queen Sheba to win the day. This is not about saving the world, it's more about payback for 500 years of enslavement, an act of rebellion if you will. Chaotic good. Jeanne puts on a fake funeral to trick the angels into thinking Bayonetta is dead, to which the two defeat the angels, no longer rivals but friends again. There's nothing morally good about this, but I am strangely gonna go for lawful neutral, since technically witches have to kill angels to fulfill their pacts with their demon partners, so they are keeping their end of the bargain. Months pass, and Jeanne has taken up the work as a history teacher by day and superhero persona Cutie J by night.
Those distant, hear the sound. Those close by, see the spectacle. Evildoers, fear final justice. Because the Platinum Knight has arrived to defend the weak and innocent. Cutie J is here!
Now, being willing to work in the American education system is heroic in of itself, so lawful good for that. However, between calling herself, quote, final justice, and stating in Bayonetta 3 that she's, quote, killed for less than being looked at through a shower, implies that she kills the criminal she confronts. For the vigilantism, we'll go chaotic good for the hero work. Sometime before Bayonetta 2, Jeanne was investigating the happenings of the angels and demons alike, noticing recent odd behavior, and went to then inform Bayonetta about it, whilst also engaging in some merriment Christmas time shopping ahead of the holidays, and also proceeds to nearly run over their chum Enzo. All of this combined, let's go lawful neutral, although if you disagreed, I wouldn't really argue with you. Angels attack the Umbra Witches during a jet parade, and Jeanne helps fight them off. The angels actually just kind of picked a fight here, so true neutral self-defense. Gamora, a demon in pact with Bayonetta, randomly goes berserk and seeing danger, jumps in the way of the attack, saving Bayonetta from a fatal blow, which ultimately cost Jeanne her life. Lawful good for saving your friend, obviously. Jeanne's soul ends up being collected and consumed by the demon Alraune, where she remains for most of the game, whilst Bayonetta tries to rescue her. However, when she is finally rescued by Bayonetta after Alraune's defeat, she warns her of an upcoming threat, perhaps implying that she saw a glimpse of the singularity crisis happening in the multiverse. No alignment being here, however, as she is just being rescued. At the end of the game, Jeanne flies a
Slide. With no survivors!
Through a swarm of angry angels and demons to escort Bayonetta, Loki, and a younger Balder to Fimbulvetr to stop Lopter, who threatens to destroy everything. She also helps destroy a reborn Aesir, god of chaos's body, by summoning her own Gamora to consume his body. Neutral good for both actions, so 2 times. A few years later, when the homunculi, man-made creatures, begin invading the city, Jeanne swoops in to aid Bayonetta in the defense of their home. However, they are forced to make a retreat to Rodan's bar for safety amidst the invasion. Lawful good. Jeanne is initially distrustful of the new girl Viola, but opts to trust in her plan all the same in the end. Whilst Viola and Bayonetta look for the Chaos Gears needed to reach the Alphaverse, Jeanne looks for Dr. Midmeyer's Sigurd, an expert on the Alphaverse and the only one who can help them. Through the game, Jeanne infiltrates the abandoned building where Sigurd is holed up, fending off homunculi all the while before discovering him and saving him. Lawful good twice. When Thule comes under the attack of the homunculi, Jeanne stays behind to fend them off, giving Bayonetta an opportunity to enter the portal into the Alphaverse. Little did she realize that Dr. Sigurd was already dead, and what she was talking to was Singularity in disguise. He caught her by surprise and killed her, to which Singularity then takes her soul into his being. Lawful good for Jeanne. When Singularity was injured in the final battle, many Bayonettas and Jeanne's he had killed and absorbed came pouring out to aid in the battle. This included our Jeanne, who does her best to help Bayonetta. However, being just a ghost at this point, she does eventually fade away, either dying for good and going to Inferno, or perhaps, optimistically, merging back into her own timeline. We'll just have to wait and see for Bayonetta 4. Lawful good, and for now, retire character. I think Jeanne's story is why narratively I find the idea that it's the same character far more satisfying. Jeanne starts off as an evil and cruel character, killing her own allies and trying to lead Bayonetta down a path of hatred and darkness before being saved by Bayonetta, in which she begins to readjust her life. She becomes a school teacher by day, a superhero of questionable morality by night, or at the very least, an anti-hero of sorts by Bayonetta 2. By Bayonetta 3, she comes full circle where she once fought to help a god, hell-bent to reshaping reality. She would fight and ultimately die to help stop Singularity from literally wiping out the multiverse.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
Well, that's all from me. This has been a long video, so you know how I leave you. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like content like this and want to see more from Bayonetta in the future. But for now, be safe, be wise, and please pray for a true peace in space.